And welcome to more Dungeons and Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms spoilers. This is spoiler number 2. I'm MTG Chuy. Alright, let's get started with the first card. Today we are going to go over 12 of the new class enchantment cards. Which basically each enchantment is assigned a class, and then you power up, if you will. So let's go over the first one already. The first one is Monk class, and it costs a white and a blue. Enchantment class. Now, the way these work is you cast it and you automatically get the first level, and then after that you have to make a cost. You have to pay a cost, and that cost will get you to the next level. So that just to be clear, once you do level up, you retain the previous levels, so all the abilities. So for example, we're going to start off with Monk class. For a white and a blue. Level 1. The second spell you cast each turn costs 1 generic less to cast. Which is simple enough. It just means your first spell, make sure it's something cheap. The second one is going to be on discount, which is nice. But for a blue and a white, you can go to level 2. And when this class becomes level 2, return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Which is nice. So you still get the discount and you get to bounce something. I will note that when you level up, you do get that particular effect the one time. And moving on, for level 3, for 1, a white and a blue, at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library for as long as it remains exiled. You may cast this card from exile as long as you've cast another spell this turn. Which is more of that blue-white control stuff. So to get to level 3, ultimately you have to pay 7 mana, but you do get to cast other people's spells, which is always nice because you get to take away a card and you gain a card, which is nice. Monk class. Moving on to the next one. We have Paladin class for 1 white. Level 1. Spells your opponents cast during your turn cost 1 more to cast. Which is absolutely great. I know 1 doesn't sound like a lot, but it does become taxing. Ristic Steady, anyone? So for example, this is good for, stacks. As long as you want to tax your opponent, this is going to be good. Now, level 2, for 2 and a white, 4 total, creatures you control get +1/+1. Now, for 3, technically 4, you get the Anthem effect, so everyone gets +1/+1, which is nice. I don't know that it's as amazing as it is once you get to 4. So you might want to just get to level 3. Level 3 being for 4 and a white. Whenever you attack until the end of turn, target attacking creature gets +1/+1 for each other attacking creature and gains double strike. Now, level 3 is huge. One of the many weaknesses of white has always been they just don't do much. They don't do a lot of things great. They do some things pretty okay, but there's always a drawback for everything. Now, for level 3, you will end up paying 6 total mana, but one of your creatures, hopefully it has some kind of evasion, will have +1/+1 for each attacking creature, and it gains double strike. So if it's your commander, it's going to go in for some beats. Next up is Druid class. Druid class costs 1 and a green. Level 1, when it enters the battlefield, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. So this is actually nice because you get 1 life for every 1 land, which doesn't sound too much, but I promise you, when your deck is built to put down lands, it's going to become really powerful, really fast. Level 2, for 2 and a green, you may play an additional land on each of your turns. So for 5, we get to gain some life, and we get exploration. Now, obviously level 2 is going to power up level 1 by giving you the ability to put down more lands, which is always a nice. But level 3, for 4 and a green, When this class becomes level 3, target land you control becomes a creature with haste, and this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. it's still a land. It may not seem like a lot, but I promise you, if you can create a creature out of this, it will be relevant. It will be powerful. I don't know if it's going to be as powerful as you think, but when, assuming you're going through the levels and you're putting down lands, you're gaining life. For all intents and purposes, this land should be huge. And the best part is that it actually it has somewhat protection being a land. As a lot of removal spells will be very specific and say, non-land permanent. When that's the case, you cannot hit these. And land destruction is frowned upon, so you're looking pretty good. Sorcerer class. For a blue and a red, you get level 1. So, when Sorcerer class enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. It's a faithless looting that costs 1 more and doesn't come back, but you still get to draw 2 and discard 2, which is so relevant, especially in red. A lot of times your graveyard is huge, so sometimes you may want something in your graveyard, in which case this is extremely powerful. Level 2 for a blue and a red. 4 total. Creatures you control have add blue or red. Spend this mana only to cast instant or sorcery spells or to gain a class level. That's huge. Every time you can tap anything for mana, it's always huge. And we can turn, blue-red has very, very cheap creatures that suddenly become mana dorks. That's extremely powerful, and you can even, move on to the next level if you wish with that mana. Now, when you get to level 3, which will cost you 3 blue and a red, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, that spell deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of instants and sorcery spells you cast this turn. So that's sort of I would call it a storm / pestilence, if you will, where you get to you cast the spell, it deals damage. You cast 2 spells, it deals 2. You cast 3, it deals 3. So you're accumulating quite the amount of damage. In a blue-red storm deck, this is extremely powerful. Moving on, Rogue class for a blue and a black. Level 1. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library face down. You may look at that card for as long as it remains exiled. And I can't underestimate how powerful that can be. You're taking away a card. You're taking away a card and you're putting it face down. Why that matters is because it's face down. Only you know what the card is. Only you can look at it, and if you want to, you can reveal what it is, but you don't have to, which is always nice, especially when you take away a win condition from an opponent. Always nice. All right, level 2 for 1 blue and black. Creatures you control have menace. Menace is an okay form of evasion. It just means that if you're going to be blocked, you have to be blocked by 2 or more creatures. So if they have 1 creature, they won't block. If they have 2, they won't be able to block everything. It's okay, but I personally think it's probably among the strictly worse forms of evasion. There's just a lot of other forms of evasion that are just much, much better. But it is like a rogue thing. A lot of rogues have menace, so it's on flavor. Level 3 for 2 blue and black. You may play cards exiled with rogue class, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. So there it is. That's the payoff. Level 1 is you get to do damage with rogues, and you get to exile cards. Very on theme. That's what rogues do. And you may play those cards once you pay enough mana. So that's 4, 7, 9 mana, and you can play cards. You can play cards that your opponents own, which I can just. It's just so nice when you take their cards and you just beat them with it. And at that point, they can't say that it's a bad card because they got beat with the good cards that belong to them. Fighter class for a red and a white. When fighter class enters the battlefield, search your library for an equipment card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. And that costs 2. 1 red, 1 white. It is a tutor for an equipment. This is busted. we're gonna go through the rest of the levels, but I don't even need to. We can just play this for the first level. Level 1, you get whatever equipment you want. Hammer time. You can get anything. Finally, if you have Kalia, you can get this. You can go get out the helm, and the helm of the host. You can go with that, and then you start immediately with infinite combat phases. So there's just so much you can do. It's extremely powerful. Go ahead, check. Equipment tutors are actually quite expensive. Yes, they're narrow. I mean, one thing is to get an artifact, but now it has to be equipment. Extremely narrow, but extremely powerful. Let's find out what else. Level 2. For 1 red and white, equip abilities you activate cost 2 less to activate. Okay, this is probably the more busted one out of all of them, and I don't get it because this is red and white, which I've always found to be slightly weaker, but not this one. This class card, it is busted. Level 1, level 2. Equip abilities cost 2 less to activate. You know what that means? That means you got a bunch of 1/1s and you got a skull clamp. You're drawing a million cards. Oh, I'm going to attach this skull clamp to something. Oh, it doesn't cost 1, it costs 0. Oh, look, I got another 1/1. It costs 0. You're just drawing cards. Cards and cards and cards and cards. Busted. Level 1, level 2. Level 2, level 3 has. Whenever a creature you control attacks, up to 1 target creature blocks it, this combat if able. See, and that costs 3 red and a white. Why is it that level 3... You know what, we'll see how it plays out, but I firmly believe that level 3 is probably the weakest out of all of these. I don't know, had it been me, I would have gone level 3, then level 1, and then level 2. But that's just the way I would have done it. But then again, if I would have done it, it would have been more fair, because at least it would give your opponents a chance to destroy it before you tutor and you start activating for practically free. Final class, busted. Cleric class. Cleric class costs 1 white. If you would gain life, you gain that much life plus 1 instead. That's always nice. Gaining life, white, it's what it does. Level 2 for 3 and a white. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but I faced those mono white decks, and sure enough, they got a little cleric, and 2 turns later, they got about 5 4/4 flying angels, and I have no idea how they did it. Except that I watched them, and I just could not believe. Just gain 5 life, angel. Gain 5 life, angel. Gain 5 life, angel. Next thing I know, their life is way high. They got so many creatures, and now I'm about to die. So, level 2. More powerful than you think, even though it doesn't look as threatening as it does. Don't forget, this costs 1 to put down. Level 3. For 4 and a white, when this class becomes level 3, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. You gain life equal to its toughness. So it's like a reverse Swords to Plowshares, where instead of exiling the creature, you get to take a creature from the graveyard and put it directly into play. Now, that's so good. And I don't know how I can explain how good it is. It is so good because, 1, you're in white. Yes, white does bring things back from the graveyard, but this is bringing a creature. Usually, you got to deal with like enchantments or things like that, or jump through much bigger hoops. Except here, you pay 6 and you get any creature from the graveyard straight to the battlefield, and then you gain some life. Really powerful, uncommon. I wouldn't say busted, but I would definitely say if you see this across the table, you're going to want to destroy it. Bard class for a red and a green. Level 1. Legendary creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on them. That's just always nice. I mean, you're going to build a deck around legendary creatures. That's great. They're just a little bit bigger. Not too bad. However, level 2. For a red and a green, 4 total. Legendary spells you cast cost 1 red and 1 green less to cast. This effect reduces only the amount of colored mana you pay. Now, Out of all the levels on this card, that one is perhaps the most busted. And that is because most cost reduction is always generic mana. Because most spells require some sort of colored mana, and if you reduce the colored mana, that means that you're making some spells free. And you will be amazed at how many of these you will find, and how many free spells you'll end up playing with this, especially if built right. Either be extremely cheap or free spells, and I mean free. Level 3, for 3, a red and a green. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. Now, the keyword on this level is that it says you may play them. What that means is that you may play lands. So I would always not make a land drop until after you do this. Because once you do this, if you don't play that land is going to remain exiled. You will only have that turn to play them. But I will tell you, that kind of exiling and playing those cards, when you have no cards in hand, and that's what you're doing, it is such a lifesaver, where you just suddenly have a choice of 3 cards to play. You may not have enough to play all the cards, but just the fact that you have all of these options to play, it's extremely beneficiary, and you will end up winning a lot of games that you had no business winning by doing that. So, Bard class, good card. Ranger class, for 1 and a green. When Ranger class enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. You get a bear. You spend 2, you get a 2/2. That's okay. Level 2, for 1 and a green. Whenever you attack, put a 1/1 counter. Put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature. Again, for 4, you just get to beef up your guys. Again, not amazing, but it is something. Let's see if the payoff is worth it. Level 3, for 3 and a green. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. I would say the payoff is probably mostly worth it. You are paying 8 at the end of everything. You're paying 4 plus level 2 plus level 1, 8 total, and you can cast spells from the top of your library. If that's what you wanted to do, there's definitely other cards that you can use to do that. This is Naila. There's a Planeswalker that lets you cast creature spells on the top of your deck. So I would say it's probably okay. Early right now, it's not among my favorite of all the class cards. Wizard class, for 1 blue. Level 1, you have no maximum hand size. That is very underrated. It's obviously telepathy. No, not telepathy. This card is a spellbook, and you just have no hand size. And that's always nice because you just have no idea how often, especially in blue, you end up with a million cards in your hands. And then you have to discard at the end of your turn. But not this time. Now you just draw as many as you want and just keep them and use them against your opponents. Level 2, for 2 and a blue. When this class becomes level 2, draw 2 cards. Of course you draw 2 cards. Why? Because you have no maximum hand size. So draw more cards. Which, by the way, 2 cards for 3 is not bad. It's pretty good. Level 3, for 4 and a blue. Whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So we can stroke of genius and draw 70 cards, give all our guys, plus 70 in power, and take the entire table out, hopefully. And that's combat damage in blue. I don't know how often that is going to happen, but kind of makes me want to make a blue creature heavy. I don't know if it's going to be aggro, but definitely combat damage themed. Wizard class. Not bad. I don't think it's great. We'll find out. Warlock class. For 1 black. Level 1. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, each opponent loses 1 life. Aristocrats. What else can I say? If you have control over killing your own guys, or if you can just remove other guys, doesn't matter how you get there, everybody's losing 1. And you can make that be so relevant. There's so many other things that can work with. Level 2. For 1 and a black, when this class becomes level 2, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. Now, we spoke about this before, and black is no different. Black is especially good at retrieving things from the graveyard. So, if you get to keep 1 card you want, and another card that you can strategically put in your graveyard, it's all gravy here. There's so far level 1, level 2, there's nothing bad. Level 3, for 6 and a black. At this point, you have spent 10 total mana. For level 3, at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. Damage causes loss of life. That's probably powerful. I just don't know. Once you get to level 10, you would have spent 10 mana. Once you get to level 3, you would have spent 10 mana at this point. And if you're not winning or about to win, I don't know that if it was worth doing that. Warlock class, okay. I don't think it's super powerful. But again, time will tell. Here we go. Last one, Barbarian class for 1 red, level 1. If you would roll 1 or more dice, instead roll that many dice, plus 1, and ignore the lowest roll. That's like a Croc's thumb, but for rolling dice. We like that. It's always nice to get a second chance at rolling a dice, so you're good. Level 2. For 1 and a red, whenever you roll 1 or more dice, target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains menace until the end of turn. That's okay. It's alright. They just get a little buff when you roll a dice. I don't know that it'll be as relevant as it appears on the card. I think on the card it looks like it's going to happen a lot. I just don't think it will. And I think on one creature, no. It might matter. I just don't think it'll matter much. But for level 3, for 2 and a red, creatures you control have haste. Now, at this point, to get to level 3, you would have spent 1, 2, 3, you spent 6 mana. But everything you have has haste. It's an enchantment. It's extremely difficult to remove. Even the colors that can remove it, it being white and green, generally, if they have an answer, they don't have, it's too few. So giving your creatures haste is huge. It is going to cost you 6, but you do get other benefits that I think this card is going to be worth the 6 amount of total spent for you to have haste. You get an extra roll, and while I did say that +2/+0 was not much, it does ultimately become just a little bit of icing on the cake when you have the other 2 levels that are really, really, really powerful. Creatures having haste, get Cranko, create, a bunch, create 30, 60, 120 goblins. Guess what? Everyone's attacking now. Haste is good. And if you have maybe some mana dorks, they get to tap for mana right away. Super powerful, super powerful. And that does it. Those are all the class cards for the newest Dungeons and Dragons themed Magic the Gathering set. If you want to join me on Instagram or check me out on Twitch, you can do so at MTG Chuy on both Instagram and Twitch. You can watch me play Arena on Saturdays. All right, have a good one.